is what they call it in international relations.
How do you call it again?
Salami tactics, because it's like
salami tactics.
Just a little bit, not enough to start a war, and you just keep slicing, and eventually you're there.
Yeah, and it was around that moment of time. It never really took fruition for obvious reasons, but but people have been questioning if that ever did happen. Like if they ever took one of our islands, does that mean we're justified to, let's say, I'm not sure whether this is going on record or not, or whether we are justified on launching a missile, like let's say against Shanghai or even Beijing? Like is that justified? If they ever did that too, because since the issues between Taiwan and China is not really exactly the same with what's between Ukraine and Russia. Mm-hmm. Ukraine and Russia are both sovereign nations recognized as members of the United Nations.
Right.
Yeah, but Taiwan and China are the situation is a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah. We're currently still under a civil war.
Right.
The war never really ended. There's no peace. There's never a peace like agreement signed between the two parties.
What would it mean for a country like the US to come out and recognize Taiwan diplomatically? Would that be significant for you guys?
Of course, like that don't mean everything. That means that Taiwan is, because Taiwanese people have always believed that we are a sovereign nation.
I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, most Americans do.
Yeah, I mean, we operate as a sovereign nation in every aspect, but we just don't get the recognition. And if the United States ever did recognize Taiwan as a sovereign nation, of course, that would mean a lot, like from a international level. Mm-hmm. But also, we're also facing an issue on how the form of recognition will be taken place. So officially, the name of Taiwan is called the Republic of China.
China, right? ROC.
Yeah, that's the official name. Like we're like I think we're characterized from an international relation point of view. We're characterized as a remnant state. Mm-hmm. I think that's how it's called.
Okay.
So we used to be like we used to be like Taiwanese, or at least the government Republic of China used to control the entire mainland. Yeah, but after the Civil War, we just have that little piece left.
Right.
Because of historical reason and demographic reason, that the local population took over the entire politically, the local nativism just overtook the so Taiwan became we began to lean towards more of a we believe we should become an independent country instead of trying to reintegrate with the mainland. So the course of our national mission drifted towards a complete different direction. Yeah. So I think that so people start wondering that should we still call ourselves the Republic of China, or we should call ourselves something else, like whether we should call ourselves Formosa or Taiwan. But of course, that would lead to many different problems.
Right. Yeah. Because right now there's only a handful of countries that officially recognize Taiwan. I think there's like 15 or 20 maybe.
But here's the problem: like if you recognize Taiwan, you're recognizing Taiwan as the representative of the entire China.
Right.
Yeah, because there can only be one China in the United Nations.
Right.
And that's not really what the Taiwanese want. Like we don't really want to represent the entire. We don't want to represent like 1.4 billion people. That's not really something that you're interested with anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but also, if you want to change their status, that would mean war, because that would mean that it would be either two China, or there will be a China and a Taiwan, and that's just not something China would.
Right. See. I know of a few people in the U.S. that are presidential hopefuls for 2024 that have flat out said that we should move to recognize Taiwan. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who actually was in Taiwan recently, with your president, and former ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley. My friend actually worked for her.
Right.
She's come out and said, like, I don't think they've gone as far as to say we shouldn't recognize mainland China. I think
of course
more of it, which I mean, it's better than nothing. But so I mean that would be really cool. I think that's something that would be fitting, because Taiwan is more of a country than mainland China, considering it actually respects its citizens rights and liberty. So
yeah, that also depends with how prepared we are, because Taiwanese people, I think in general, we're quite pragmatic when it comes to political issues. Like, we believe that if one day that ever did happen, that would probably means that immediate war would just occur right away. Like, there's no way that the Chinese government in this current situation will allow any form of Taiwanese recognize, like Taiwanese becoming an independent country.
Right.
Imagine if you were the Chinese government, like you have issue in Tibet, Xinjiang, Hong Kong. There's just no way that you allow a country to, or at least a region, supposedly a region that you claim to be yours, to break away from your country. That just, it's not something that's acceptable. Yeah, so you could imagine that if we ever did like the things that we just talk about, that would mean that an immediate war will occur. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
Wonder if there'd be a way to ensure deterrence and do it. Maybe like, I mean, what if Taiwan had a nuclear weapon? I mean, that could deter.
Well, that's something that we've planned about. I think it was before democratization. The military government did plan on creating one, but it was being shut down by the U.S.
Right.
And, yeah, well, for obvious reasons, and it never taken place. But for what we are working on, we are trying to make sure that we develop a kind of a military balance between the two, like the two sides. The idea is not to launch to be able to launch a offensive war, but rather a defensive one.
Right.
If a war ever occurred, we at least could, because since two sides are just, I mean, geographically wise, like just too close to one another, so it's quite difficult. Like the war between Taiwan and China would never be like what it was in 1775 between the United States and Britain. There's just no way that's like,
right.
Just too close to one another. Also, population wise, like there are more Americans than British at the time.
Right.
They were the lowest at the time, but I mean, in Taiwan, the situation is completely reversed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in a way that if that really happened, it would definitely lead to World War III.